Welcome back to Project Manager Plays with me, Sifu Xerxes. This is video 2 of my custom maps for City Skylines 2. Don't forget to check out the first video here, and in a couple more days I'm actually going to release a tier list as well. We'll just get this all in one of them fancy old tier lists, and you can check it out that way also. So thanks for joining me. Please leave a comment below after the video. Let me know what your favorite map is. I've got chapter markers as well if you want to skip ahead based on map name if you've got your eye on a particular one in the Thunder Store. And also I'll include a link to the Thunder Store modding platform on how to add some of these maps to your City Skylines 2 game. Let's dive in with all that being said. We're going to start today with the Kexford map. There are a couple of versions of this, Kexford and Kexford Temperate. I'm going to, this is a manually installed map, so ignore that. We're going to start here on Kexford. Select map. As before, I'm going to leave everything unchecked here, and I do have a couple of mods to start with to help me so I can do like a historical start and see like rail and farms and stuff at the beginning. But other than that, the only thing I have installed right now on this mod profile is just these maps. So for Kexford, here is where you're going to start. You've got... as before, we're going to start with resources, so let me pull those up. It looks like there is quite a bit of farming land available at the start of the map. Good chunk of forestry available as well, and just a little bit of mining that you have access to without any initial expansions. You will need to expand a bit to get to some of that oil. It is spaced out quite a bit, but looks like there's a good chunk of it throughout the map as well. As far as the creativity of this map is concerned, or variety in landscape is concerned, I need to change my resolution real quick. Sorry, one sec. Window. Here we go. I was cutting off part of the map. Sorry about that. I really like this one. It's got a lot. It's pretty much got everything. So you've got some like almost flat like buttes here. You've got some bigger mountains in the back. You have some short peaks nearby. And just a lot of variety. Some rolling hills, some flatlands, moderately flat anyway. There's just a little bit of elevation changes here, but for the most part it's flat. And of course, like either a massive lake or an ocean as well right there. So you've pretty much got it all here. I really like this map. I'd probably rate it near the top. As far as outside connections are concerned, you have almost rail access here. You're going to have to buy one tile to get access to it. There's a highway coming through, and you have power, but I do not believe this map... yes, this map has a water connection as well, so that's really nice. That's going to make your starting difficulty pretty simple as well, since you've got pretty much everything you need at the start. So this is definitely going to be one of my more favorite maps. Good start today for Kexford. The Kexford Temperate map is exactly the same thing. It's just, as it says, temperate. It doesn't get quite so cold. So if you look at the Kexford map, it goes from -13 to 24 degrees Celsius. The Kexford Temperate ranges from 5 to 28 degrees. So no snow on this map if you don't like snow. So really good option there as well. All right, up next, Kop van North Holland. Here is your starting area for Kop van North Holland. Let's take a look at starting resources. You've got almost no farmland available at the start. You can do some forestry at the start. And really weird square-shaped mining areas there, but nothing's available at the start, and nothing available at the start for oil either. So not a whole lot you can do at the beginning of this game. Creativity and variety in landscape. It is super flat. I didn't realize Holland was this flat. So not super varied as far as the landscape is concerned. Of course, there are small rivers and an ocean, but not a whole lot else going on there. So it's kind of middle tier here. Outside connections, all we really got coming in here is a small highway and electricity. I don't believe this map has any water connections. No, it does not. And I don't see the rail either. There's rail. So it just stops here. Couple of tiles away. 1, 2, like 3 tiles away from where your starting location is. As far as starting difficulty is concerned, this one is not going to be too bad. It's flat, so it's really easy to get started. You don't really have any restrictions as far as water is concerned. I mean, technically, you could build a pump and a disposal right here without having to expand at all. Your citizens aren't going to love you for it, but you could also build a good old water tower as well. So work around that for now. It's going to be on the easier side, I would say. The next map is Lisbon. All right, for Lisbon, let's take a look at the starting resources. No farmland at the start. Little bit of trees at the start, but not really big enough to build an industry with. Not a big one. Not any mining nearby either, and oil is super far away and very few resources as well. So this is kind of a resource scarce map. If you want a challenge, maybe this is it for you. Creativity and variety in landscape. You've got bay, which is kind of cool. Well, does that really qualify as a bay? A strait? No, like lakes or rivers or any of that good stuff. This one's okay. It's got a lot of hills though, like a lot. So that may affect how easy this one is to build on. Like you're definitely gonna, if you like a perfect looking city without weird terrain issues, you may not like this particular map. Outside connections, highway coming in with a street connected to a roundabout. So that's nice. You've got a little connection to start there. I don't see rail. Where is that at? Here it is. So it looks like you're a tile or two away from the rail. Yeah, just one really, right there. So outside connections are mid-tier here. Starting difficulty, as I already mentioned, it's pretty hilly. You're gonna have to work around that. But there's nothing all that difficult about this map either beyond the hilliness, so kind of mid-tier. Lost Valley is our next map. And taking a look at the resources, we've got no farmland available at the start. Lots of trees, easily build an industry in there. Just a little bit of mining and almost no oil. Well, none at the start and pretty limited throughout the map as well. Let's take a look at the rest of the map here. Trees are good, at least in the middle valley there, and you've got access to a good chunk of farmland really, but not as much as one would hope. So you'll definitely have to work around that just a little bit. Okay. As far as variety and creativity is concerned, it's a really pretty map. You've got a lot of trees. You've got a ton of hills. This beautiful, like, upstream, like, view here. So this could be really, really nice to build on. It's starting difficulty. You've got a good amount of landscape changes here. So same as Lisbon, you're going to work around the landscape, or you're going to have to work with it, I suppose. It's going to be a little bit more of a difficult starting map for that reason alone. On the plus side, you do have this pretty decent looking interchange here. So you've got that handy, and electrical is available at the start, but no rail as far as I'm seeing. Here's your rail. It is actually available in the start, so you do have just a tiny bit of access to that rail here. Next up, one of my personal favorite maps, Magnolia County. This one was actually featured in a previous video of mine and was one of the first, if not the first, custom map, at least that I was aware of, for City Skylines 2. And it was created by City Planner Plays. Check out his YouTube channel if you're not already familiar with him. You probably are if you found me. But I really like this map. I'm actually building on it in another series right now and having a lot of fun with it. It's a neat map. So for Magnolia County, available resources are plentiful. You've got farming everywhere, more or less, as far as you can see. And lots of trees everywhere as well, so you can have a nice industry there. The mining kind of follows the landscape, which I am perfectly okay with. This makes sense. I mean, if you're going to be going for rocks and ores and things, like, you're going to be probably digging into mountains and whatnot. So I'm okay with that. It's pretty good. Oil is a little scarce, but I mean, it is in real life too, so it's fine. Whatever. And you almost have it at the start as well. Just a couple of tiles, honestly, just one tile away, and you've got access to that. So creativity, variety, and landscape. This is one of the, like I said, one of my favorite ones. This is definitely better than mid-tier, pretty high. It's got this beautiful river and ocean out that way. Lots of water around the starting area. Finger hills here. Let me turn on the contour lines so you can see that. You can see there are some finger hills here. You've got some here. It's a really pretty map. I like it. I think you should check it out. But maybe it's not my favorite map out of this entire thing either. You'll have to check out the tier list video to see what that looks like. Outside connections are solid. If you've got a highway, you've got water, you have electricity up here. So everything you could want other than rail, which is pretty close, you can access it by purchasing one tile, technically. As for starting difficulty, Magnolia County is going to be mid-tier. It's not the easiest map because there is, like I said, quite a bit of elevation in the starting area. But it's not that hard to build on either, so I'm going to give it like a 3 out of 5, basically. Now we're taking a look at Midwest Plains, inspired by the region around Fort Collins, Colorado. As you can imagine, with plains in the name, this one is fairly flat, with some large mountains far away and some foothills up next to them. Let's take a look at the resources. You do have a decent amount of farmland available throughout the map. Only a small amount is available within the starting area, though, so keep that in mind. Trees are scarce, and you're not really going to be starting much of a logging industry on this map, unfortunately. There's a lot of stone mining when you get closer to the foothills, but it's also spread out quite a bit as well. And then oil is sort of the same. Like, it's just all over the map. But no, like, one area is going to be a massive oil producer, really. So as far as creativity is concerned, this is, honestly, it's kind of a unique looking map, even though it's really flat, because it has these like big mountains in the background, which definitely remind me of some of the Rocky Mountain states. So it's not bad. I like it. Outside connections, you've got a highway coming in, you have rail running throughout the entire thing, so you've got easy access to rail at the start. And you also have electricity, but no water connections. And if you'll notice, there is also no water available at the start anywhere. So where are you going to pump your sewage? I don't know. Maybe make your own lake for it. People do that, right? As far as starting difficulty is concerned, this one's not bad, but you do have the problem with the no water. So good luck with that one. Nola River is next. Okay, here we go. Here's Nola River. Let me zoom out. Here's our starting area. And let's take a look at the resources. Lots and lots of farmland along the riverbank here. It just pretty much everywhere except for the really mountainous areas. And if you look at the trees for logging industry, you do have some available at the start. They're really growing up on this mountain range here, but not so much back over this way, interestingly. Now, as far as mining is concerned, basically the inverse of farming. If you don't have farmland available, you probably have mining available. So that's cool. And then just a little bit of oil. There is actually a really large deposit over here, so you could build up a pretty large oil industry on this map in that particular area. Creativity, variety, and landscape. It's a really pretty map, I think. I think it's really well designed. You've got all the things, the rivers, the mountains, and if you watched my last video, you know I love mountains. Lakes, oceans. It's all here. Nothing to complain about. Outside connections are pretty solid. You actually have a water connection and electrical, as well as so close, but not quite in the lines, rail. So almost everything. It's a pretty good as far as the connections are concerned. And starting difficulty, this one is not going to be a hard map at all. You've got a little bit of elevation to work around here, but you've got plenty of room to grow in the rest of the map to start to make a small profit on your town or city before you get too large. So I'd say this is definitely going to be a little better than mid-tier. All right, on to North Harbour. So oddly enough, there's a harbor in this map. Let's take a look at it. There's our starting area right in the middle. And let's see what we've got for resources. Lots of farmland. It looks like there is a lot available at the start. Not a ton of trees. There are some areas where you have some, but this isn't really a green map, so to speak. Good chunk of stone mining throughout the mountains and hills, but other than those, it's not particularly available. And you've got a pretty good oil deposit just off the starting map as well, so you could quickly build into that after you gain a couple of levels for your city. Not too bad as far as the available resources are concerned. It's a nice looking map. I mean, yeah, I think it's well designed. I don't have any really complaints about it. Mid-tier or a little higher. It's got a nice rolling hill here. It's pretty flat on the starting area, but it really expands out not too far from where you start. You can get some variety in your landscape there. Outside connections look like they're pretty solid. You've got rail, you've got a road. You've got a couple highways actually coming through. I said rail, but now that I say that, I don't actually see rail. Where's the rail? Here it is. So rail's actually a couple of tiles away. You're going to have to buy, looks like 3 tiles to get access to that. So outside connections are solid, but not perfect. Starting difficulty, this one should be easy. You've got everything you need to get going right at the beginning, with the exception of the water. Actually, you do have the water, with the exception of the rail. So definitely one of the easier maps. Okay, next up is the One Tile Island. Anybody done the One Tile Island challenge? I haven't yet. This one's silly. Look at this. So it's literally just a tile. You have electrical and a road, and you have nothing else. You, as far as resources are concerned, a little bit of farmland, no trees, little bit of mining, and a lot of bit of oil if you want to build any industries on this tiny little map. It's up to you. It's creative, I guess. Sort of a tradition to have a crazy map challenge, and this is one of them. That said, probably not the easiest map. I mean, unless you want to break the rules and expand beyond the starting area, which I suppose you could technically do with landscaping. Oh, let me know what you think. Would you ever do the one tile island map? I'm debating it myself. Okay, moving on to Oslo. All right, here's the full map. It looks like the starting area is somewhere in the middle. We'll take a look at resources. As always, looks like there's a good chunk of farmland. And in the starting zone, you have a decent amount to work with. Trees are plentiful. Mining is not available at the start, but it looks like there's a pretty good amount spread throughout the entire map. And same for oil. It's okay. Creativity and variety in landscape. This one, I think, is a really pretty map. And oh my gosh, look at all the elevation changes. So involved. Yeah, it's flat but hilly, and lakes, rivers, oceans, harbors, bays. I don't live near an ocean. Can you tell? Because I'm probably using the wrong words. I think it's a really pretty map. I definitely give this one high points in the creativity and variety in landscape. Outside connections are okay. You've got a road coming in. You've got electrical coming in, which is the same as every other starting map from the base game anyway. No water coming in to start, and I am not seeing rail near in the map either. There is rail nearby. 2 or 3 map tiles away, it looks like. So you've got easy access to it once you start to expand. For starting difficulty, I would actually consider this more of a slightly difficult than normal map, just because of all of the elevation changes. I mean, there's a pretty big difference between the elevation at this point and this point. So you'll have to work around or with the landscaping quite a bit. Moving on to Riverside Islands. Okay, for Riverside Islands, let's zoom out. We'll take a look at the map. You're pretty close to the bay here. And for resources, you have lots of farmland. Decent amount of trees. Okay amount of mining, but it's a little ways away from your starting area. And not much oil, but it's pretty close to your starting area to expand to that. Creativity and variety in landscapes here. What do you think? I think it's really pretty, actually. I like it. I mean, I wish it wasn't quite so flat over here in this corner, but otherwise it's pretty sweet looking. It's a pretty map. Outside connections, you have the road coming through. You've got electrical and water. Always a nice touch. No rail that I'm seeing. Where is the closest rail line at? Looks like it's back over here. Yes, it is. So you're actually, oh man, how many tiles away from that? 1, 2, 3, 4 tiles to get access to rail. Or, you know, build your own connection, but if you go that route, you're still actually 6 tiles away. So you do you. Starting difficulty for this one? I don't know. It's a little bit hilly right here that you have to work around. That's actually kind of difficult, to be honest. But it's not too bad. I mean, I guess in theory you could just do that. It's not too bad of a hill. But I'd say kind of mid-tier as far as difficulty is concerned for this map. Moving on to Skyrim, or Riverwood, inspired by Skyrim, if you've played that game. Maybe this will give you all the fills. Okay, so for Riverside, let's zoom out. As always, take a look at some of these resources. This is quite the map. Look at that. All right, for farmland, you've got a little bit available at the start and then a little bit in a couple of other places, but man, it's really sparse, actually. Trees are plentiful in some areas, but actually all areas are pretty wooded. For mining, you've got some availability, but not as much as I would like. Oil's not bad. I'm actually most disappointed in the farmland. Like, what is this? This is very, very little. Creativity, I'm going to give this one some points. It's definitely creative. And a pretty cool map, notwithstanding the whole Skyrim connection. For the outside connections, you have a street, you have electrical, and you have water. You do not have rail. I don't even know if there is rail anywhere on this map, actually. I don't think there is. So keep that in mind. You'll need to make your own rail connections. Starting difficulty for Riverwood is going to be pretty difficult. Look at the terrain here. You've got a lot you need to work around, a lot you're going to have to flatten out. Not the easiest part to start. I would have actually started you probably over in this area more. Other than the missing water, that's always going to be a bit of a problem. So good luck with this map. It's going to be a challenge. Roanoke is next. And it looks like with Roanoke, you are starting over here. The corner of the map. For resources available, you've got a little bit of farmland available, lots of trees, little bit of mining available right in the corner, but that's not particularly usable without an expansion. And some oil. So zooming out, some oil throughout, some mining throughout, and some farmland throughout. Resources are pretty bare bones, though, in my opinion. Creatively and variety, it's flat, so, but it's pretty cool flat map, too. There's a lot of ocean and some neat bridges over here and some neat little islands, rivers and streams and stuff. So I guess it's all right. It's not too bad. Outside connections, you have a single highway coming in and electrical, but no water connections and no rail connections either. For starting difficulty, it's pretty flat. You're not going to have too many difficulties building on this particular map. I'd say it's like mid-tier, maybe a little easier than that. Tenochtitlan. How do you say that? Tenochtitlan. Oh God, I can't say that. Anyway, this map is up next. Here's your starting zone, right near the pyramid. You've got a good chunk of farmland available at the start, a good chunk of trees available at the start, no mining at the start, and no oil right at the start, but super close. As far as overall maps are concerned, you've got a lot of mining available in certain areas, same for oil, and honestly, same for farming. So it's kind of split between the different areas. Creatively, it's definitely a creative map. I mean, look at this. They built a flippin' pyramid with the landscape tools. I wonder how long that took. So, pretty cool. I cannot imagine trying to build on this map, to be perfectly honest with you. It seems like such a pain, but it's neat creatively. Connections are kind of standard. You've got a highway and you've got power, and I don't think there's a water connection, and I don't believe there's a rail connection either. No, I'm not seeing one. So, take that as you will. You're going to have either a lot of fun or have a headache from building on this map. The next one is called the Three Sisters. And zooming out, you kind of start in the middle as well. Let's see, for resources. Lots of farming. Good amount of trees. A good amount of mining, but nothing in the starting area. And a pretty decent amount of oil as well, but nothing in the starting area. So you can start a nice farming area here. So Three Sisters, you have essentially this big river here and this one over here, and they lead into the ocean and the bay over on that way. So this will be a really cool map to build just in between the rivers. I think it could be beautiful. I think it's a well-designed map for sure, and it's kind of creative as well. Outside connections are pretty decent. I mean, you've got this neat interchange at the start, and you have power. Do you have rail? It is nearby, 2 tiles away, and no water connections at the start, but of course you can always add those later. All right, we got just 3 maps left. Thanks for hanging in there. Victoria Bay is up next. All right, and for Victoria Bay, you have farmland at the start and a lot of it available throughout the map. Whole map is not farm though, like I feel like it should be, so small deduction in points there. Trees are okay. You've got a decent amount, but it's not like super thick or everywhere. Mining is pretty limited and oil is pretty limited as well. So, mid-tier at best. For resources on Victoria Bay. Creatively, I really like the river flowing through here. The jagged edges are throwing me off just a smidge though. I like this like collection of lakes here, and this river is also really nice, and the bay is pretty cool, although there are a couple of weird things I would probably change if I were building on this map as far as some of the water is concerned. It's got a lot of mountains and high plains over here, some rolling hills throughout the map. Pretty nice. Outside connections, pretty standard highway, road, and power with no water available and no rail available at the start either, although rail is only 1 map tile purchase away. Starting difficulty, this one is not going to be too bad. It's mostly flat. I would give it a slightly easier than average score. All right, if you've been to New Zealand, welcome to Wanaka. Welcome back, I guess I should say. Here's our second to last map of the day. Don't forget to subscribe, by the way, so you get the tier list of all 35 of these maps. Here is Wanaka, New Zealand. It's really well designed. I love what they did with the trees in between here. And there are just like highways, or I guess local roads, or whatever you want to call these, going every which way. It's got a grid at the start, which is a nice touch, or annoying, depending on your preferences. And most importantly, let's see, what have we got here? Crazy amounts of farmland. Awesome. Lots of trees available for a logging industry. Lots and lots of mining available, and lots of oil available as well. So pick your poison. Whatever industry you want to do, you can do it here in Wanaka. Creatively, I love this map. I think I'll definitely be building on it at some point. It's really pretty. You've got like this mountain in the middle of this bay. Big mountains all around. Some smaller hills and mountains as well. Yeah, it's really cool. Outside connections are plentiful. Lots of roads, like I said, everywhere. No water at the start. Of course, there's power at the start, and I believe there's a rail somewhere around here, but here it is. 1 tile away, and you've got access to that rail. What do you think? Do you like Wanaka? Definitely one of my faves. Moving on to our final map of the day, Warsaw, Poland. Warsaw. That was super zoomed in. All right. When I first opened this map, I was surprised. This is not what I expected it to look like. I gotta be honest with y'all. Let's see what the resources look like. You've got a little bit of farmland at the start. A weird like stretch of like low quality farmland in just different areas. Almost no trees. Is that right? Poland is just like no trees? Is it like a desert? Sorry for my ignorance. Lots of mining available. And a pretty good amount of oil as well. So you really just have one river flowing throughout the entire map. No ocean. It's not the most varied map. Mid-tier at best. As far as outside connections are concerned, your classic road or highway and power, and that is it. And you do have access to rail over here, though, so that's a nice little touch. Starting difficulty for Warsaw is probably going to be fairly simple. Other than not having a water connection, you have everything you need. It's really flat. You're going to have to build a bridge to get across the river, but other than that, you've got a lot of buildable space and even farmland at the start. So go nuts. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's video and the second of the 35 maps. Don't forget to subscribe, like I said, so you can catch the final tier list when I release it in a few days. And yeah, have a great one. Enjoy and have fun.